So, good morning, students. So, today we're going to see white box testing technique. Okay, so we have so far finished black box testing. So, when we compare these two, what is the basic difference between these two approaches or these two techniques of testing is that the focus of a black box testing will be limited to what sort of inputs that are provided to an application and what is the basic output that we have from the application. So that is the basic focus of a black box test. Okay, it won't be testing the processing part. What is the actual processing that is done on the input so as to convert it to some sort of an output in order to generate some sort of an output. So those tasks or those algorithms or those coding set of code that we write in order to process the input in order to produce some sort of output, that is not tested by any of the black box testing technique. Okay, so whereas in the case of white box testing technique, it will be focusing on the internal working of the software. So what is the basic processing that is done in order to convert an input to output? So those set of code is going to be tested through white box testing techniques. Okay, so today we are going to see the first type of white box testing technique, which is called as control flow testing. So as the name indicates, you will be having some idea on what is control flow. That is flow of control. Okay, so that is what are the different ways in which the control is going through your program. Okay, we have different ways in which programming statements are written, and depending upon the nature of your code, the control will be flowing in different way. Say for example, if it is a sequential statement that you write, it will be executed one after the other. So control first goes to the first statement, then to the second, then to the third, likewise. Okay, but if you have a conditional statement written, a condition that you write, so what happens is, first the condition is getting evaluated, and based on the condition you have one path that leads to that is when it is yes, the condition is true, we have one path taken, and if the condition is evaluated to false, you have another one path. Okay, so the control can either flow in one direction if the condition is true, and the control may go to a second direction if the condition is false. So the control will be moving in either of the direction depending upon the type of value you provide and the way in which the condition is getting evaluated. Based on the output of that, control will be flowing in different direction. Okay, so basically in white box testing technique, as we focus on lines of code being tested, this control flow testing also focus on different types of statements. It will be testing the different categories of statements that you write in your code. Okay, so control flow testing is one of the two white box testing techniques. Okay, so we are learning two types. Okay, so the first one is control flow testing, then second one is data flow testing. Okay, so this testing approach identifies the execution paths through a module of program code and then creates and executes test cases to cover those paths. So the basic intention behind a white box testing technique of this category, control flow, is to identify the various execution paths in your code, and it will be writing the test cases for each of those execution paths. Okay, you may have different types of execution paths. You may have sequential execution, you may have condition based execution paths, you may have looping or iteration execution path, likewise. So it will be identifying, these techniques will be identifying various execution paths in your code, and it will be writing separate test cases for testing each of those execution paths. Okay, so it will be identifying, initial attempt is to identify the execution path in the code, and once the execution paths are identified, it will be framing test cases to test all those execution paths. So that is the idea behind control flow testing. So in order to make this possible, we use different notations similar to black box testing technique. In order to have proper test cases written that can cover testing, that is, that can cover almost all portions of the code, okay, that can improve the test coverage, thereby it can also reduce the number of test cases. So you can reduce the number of test cases, but yet you can guarantee maximum coverage. So that is the motto behind any type of testing technique. So that is also followed in white box. We are trying to reduce the number of test cases, but we need to guarantee maximum test coverage. So for that we are using several notations. Okay, we prepare some intermediary notation, and from that notation we will be deriving the test cases. So this is the notation that we use in control flow testing, which is nothing but control flow graph. Okay, we are creating something called as control flow graph. So control flow graphs are the foundation for control flow testing. So these graphs document the module's control structure. Okay, so this is the intermediary notation. Just as we prepare, say state diagram, state transition diagram, we have prepared. Yesterday we have prepared something called use case. From the use case we derive test cases. From state diagrams we prepare transition state transition diagram we prepare test cases. From decision tables we prepare test cases. So we have some intermediary notation that we prepare, and based on that we'll be framing test cases. So likewise, in the case of control flow testing, we'll be preparing this intermediary notation called control flow graph. Okay, so modules of code are converted to graph. Okay, when I have a piece of code, I'll be converting that into a flow graph notation. Okay, flow graph notation, and the paths to the graph are analyzed and test cases are created from that analysis. Control flow graph consists of the number of elements. So in order to convert a piece of code into flow graph notation, in order to draw a control flow graph, you've got certain notations. Just as flowchart and data flow diagrams has got its own notations, this is also a graphical representation. So control flow graph has got its own notations. Okay, so we'll come across what are the different notations that are used in control flow graph. Process block. Okay, how are process blocks represented in control graph? So process block is a sequence of statements. By process block we mean a block of statements which are going to be executed sequentially one after the other. Okay, a set of statements that you write, the order of execution will be in the order in which you have written the statement. First statement will be executed first, second statement will be executed next, third statement will be executed third, likewise. So these are process block is nothing but a set of statements which will be executed sequentially one after the other. Okay, so no entry into the block is permitted except at the beginning. Okay, so the entry to this block should be at the beginning, and as it starts at the first statement, it will be continuing till the very end. Okay, the last statement, first to last. Okay, no exit from the block is permitted except the last. So as you enter, you will be entering the process block and will be executing the first statement, and you cannot make an entry in between and you cannot make an exit in between. So as and when the execution starts at statement 1, execution stops only at the last statement. So once a block is initiated, every statement in it will be executed sequentially. Process blocks are represented in control flow graph by a bubble with one entry, one exit. See, this is the notation to represent process block in control flow graph. So when we have in our program a set of code which are executed sequentially, that forms a process block, and that when it is represented in the form of a control flow graph, it can be represented by this notation, a bubble in which we have a single entry, single exit. Okay, one arrow towards the bubble and one arrow at the end of the bubble. Now a decision point, that is a condition. If in our code we have a condition, how is that condition represented in control flow graph notation? Okay, so decision point is a point in the module at which the control flow can change. Most decision points are binary. Binary in sense true or false, two paths. Okay, most of the conditions have got two alternatives, the true alternative and the false alternative. So they are implemented by if then else statements. So most of the conditional statements in our code are if then else statements. Okay, so when the condition is true, we have one path followed. When the condition is false, we have another path followed. So multi-way decision points are implemented by case statements. When we use case statement, we have got multiple conditions which are getting checked. Now they are represented by a bubble with one entry, multiple exit. Okay, so this is the representation for decision, if and case. Okay, if you want to check for multiple conditions, you will be using a case. So we have a case is represented by a bubble with single entry and multiple exits. And in the case of if statement, we have two evaluation, that is when the condition is evaluated, we have a true part and a false part. So we have one entry, exactly two exit points for one condition. Okay, if you represent one condition through an if statement, you have only two possible alternatives. The alternative when the condition is true, the alternative when the condition is false. So you have one condition, so we have one entry into the condition, and when the condition is evaluated, you have exactly two possible alternatives. Okay, so that is the flow graph notation for if and flow graph notation for case. Then junction point, a junction point is a point at which the control flow joins together. So you can have statements of this sort, okay? So in which you have two statements and they merge together and you have one output from that. So this is what we have. We have a code and we have the corresponding flow graph notation. So this is the code. We have three statements sequentially getting executed that forms a process block. Okay, Q is equal to 1, B is equal to 2, C is equal to 3. So that together in a process block. So a bubble, we have an entry bubble and an exit arrow. Okay, so that is a bubble. Within that you write these three statements because they form a process block. Then we have if A is equal to 2, x is equal to x plus 2. So that is a condition. So you have a condition there if, and we have one bubble and towards the bubble one arrow and from the bubble two arrows. Okay, two alternatives, and we have an else part also there. If it is true, we got to do x is equal to x plus 2. If the condition is false, we got to do x is equal to x by 2. So that is written in the two parts. Okay, then we have the next condition, if another if over there. Okay, if b is equal to here, if b by c is greater than c, z is equal to z plus y. So there we have this condition again, and we have one alternative. If that particular condition is true, I got to do z is equal to z is equal to x plus y. Okay, and I have no option, no else part there. So I have a stop over there. Okay, so this is the code and that is the corresponding flow graph notation. Okay. Now levels of coverage. This is nothing but, see, when I write a test case, I got to find out what are the different execution paths which are covered by that particular test case. Okay, so my main intention is, given a code for me to test via control flow testing, I will be converting the code into a flow graph notation, and from the flow graph notation I try to find out the execution paths, and once I found out the different execution paths, I can frame test cases to test each of those execution paths. So that is the three different steps in control flow testing. First one is I write the code. After I write the code, I will be converting the code to flow graph notation. Second is I'll be finding out all the execution paths from the flow graph. Third is for every execution path I find, I'll be writing a test case to test that execution path. So I've got three steps basically in control flow testing. One is convert the code to flow graph. Two, find all execution paths from the flow graph. Third one is find out or write test cases for each of the execution paths that I find from the flow graph. Okay, so in control flow testing, I can have different levels of coverage. So that is, by coverage we mean the percentage of code that is being tested. That is the test coverage. We mean the amount of code that is being tested by a testing technique, which is the there to test. In control flow testing, we define coverage as the number of levels. Okay, coverage in sense, see the first level 1 is 100% coverage, which all execution paths I am fully covering. Okay, then level 2 maybe I will not be having a 100% coverage over there. See, this is actually the notations there. This is the code and this is the flow graph notation, and this is the paths that I cover. Okay, so this is 4 execution path I have, 1, 2, 3 and 4. 2 here on left hand side flow graph, 2 execution paths represented in the right hand side diagram. So totally 4 execution paths over here. So this completes the entire execution path. So I've got 4 execution paths in this flow graph, and all the 4 are getting tested through test case. So I have a test coverage of 100%. Okay, in this flow graph, I have got 4 execution paths and I am writing test cases to test all those 4. So 4 by 4 coverage means 100% coverage. Level 0 means below 100 coverage. Okay, I am not covering all the execution path. So that can be level 0 coverage. Then level 2 coverage, the next level of coverage, 100% decision coverage, that is branch coverage. That is for conditional statements. For condition nodes, if I test both the conditions, the true part and the false part I cover, then also I am having a 100% coverage. So this is just levels are measures to the extent of coverage that I am doing via a test case. How much of code I am testing through a particular test case, that is the coverage level. So level of coverage means the amount of code that is covered by a particular test case. The number of execution paths which are tested by a test case. That is the coverage. So here, this is another wherein we are taking two test cases, two execution paths over here. Okay. So now those are the different levels we can have. So this is just for understanding what is meant by level of coverage. Level of coverage indicates the amount of code that has been covered by a particular test case. Okay, out of 4 execution paths, if I covered all the 4 execution paths through test case, then I am having 100% coverage. If out of 4 I am testing only 2, then I have 50% coverage. So likewise I can tell. Then this is another one testing technique within control flow. Okay, within control flow testing, in order to properly identify the execution path, I can use one testing technique allied, connected with control flow testing. I got to have this type of testing also done occasionally, which is called as structured testing or basis path testing. Structured testing or basis path testing comes under control flow. ഓക്കെ, കൺട്രോൾ ഫ്ലോ പറയുമ്പോൾ ആ ടെസ്റ്റിങ്ങിൻ്റെ കൂടെ നമ്മൾ ചിലപ്പോൾ എക്സിക്യൂഷൻ പാത്തൊക്കെ എളുപ്പത്തിൽ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ടെസ്റ്റിംഗ് ടെക്നിക്കാണ് ബേസിസ് പാത്ത് ടെസ്റ്റിംഗ്. So structured testing process, it consists of this basis path testing, otherwise called structured testing process, consists of the following steps. So first one is derive the control flow graph from the code. You first find out the control flow graph. You construct the control flow graph from the code that you have. Okay, now compute the graph's cyclomatic complexity. We'll be computing some measure from the graph, and this measure is called as cyclomatic complexity, represented by C or CC. In some books it's written CC, in some books simply by C. In your reference book, simply C, letter C. It has got 3 formulas basically in order to compute this particular metric, cyclomatic complexity. I've got 3 formulas. One is so that is, let it be there. So select C basic paths, create test case for each basic path, and then execute the test. Normal as in control flow testing, the objective is to convert the code to flow graph, then identify the execution path, then write separate test cases to test each execution path. Fine. Now here also basis path testing also does the same thing. It will be creating the control flow graph. It will be identifying the basic execution paths. Then it will be finding this one measure called cyclomatic complexity. After identifying the execution path, it will be writing test cases for each of the execution path. Fine. So we have next, this is a graph we have. Okay, this is a control graph, control flow graph. Okay, I have different nodes and edges connected together. I've got different decision node over here. See, so from this I will be computing the measure called cyclomatic complexity. Okay, so for computing the cyclomatic complexity, as I told, I've got 3 formulas. The first formula is this one: edges minus nodes plus 2. Edges minus number of edges minus number of nodes plus 2. Cyclomatic complexity, C is equal to total number of edges minus nodes plus 2. So we'll go back and see. See, what is the number of edges over here? Just count 1, 2, 3, 4 from the top. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24 edges you have. Okay, 24 edges you have. How many nodes you have? 1, 2, 3, 4 on the top. Then I come to the left. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 1, 9. I've got 19 nodes. So I'll be doing like 24 minus 19 plus 2. 24 minus 19 plus 2. Okay, so the value will be, what is the value? 24 minus, 1 minute. Okay, we have 24 minus 19 plus 2. That happens to be 24 minus 19. What is the value? 5 I have. 5 plus 2, 7. Okay, so 7 is the value for cyclomatic complexity over here. Another formula is C is equal to P plus 1. P is the number of predicate nodes plus 1. Predicate node is a node that contains condition. Predicate node is a node that contains a condition. Okay, so number of predicate nodes plus 1. Okay, so we'll see number of predicate nodes, we'll count. See, A is a predicate node 1, D is a predicate node 2, E is a predicate node 3, F is a predicate node 4, then 5, that is K is 5, L is 6, then I have, yes, how many I have count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 I have. This one, this S is also under predicate node I have. So I will be counting 1, these are the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, I have A, D, E, F, K and L. Okay, so how many I have? 6. So 6 plus 1, 7 again. Okay, 7 is the cyclomatic complexity. Again, I have one formula which is not given in your textbook. It is equal to number of regions plus 1. That is another number of regions in the particular graph plus 1. Region is nothing but a particular area that is covered by edges, surrounded by edges. So I have the first the portion lo region 1. ഓരോ ഡിസിഷൻ നോഡിനകത്ത് ഓരോ റീജിയൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. സോ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 അതിൻ്റെ ഉള്ളിലുള്ളത്. പിന്നെ പുറത്ത് ഗ്രാഫിൻ്റെ പുറത്ത് റീജിയനും കൗണ്ട് ചെയ്യണം. സോ 7. സോ 7 regions. So that is cyclomatic complexity, again 7. Okay, so I've got 3 formulas to compute cyclomatic complexity. One is edges minus nodes plus 2. Then number of predicate nodes plus 1. By predicate node, I mean a node that contains a condition. Then the third formula is, I have not written in my slide, but because it is not in your textbook, but it is another one formula there. Number of regions plus 1. ഈ റീജിയൻ കൗണ്ട് ചെയ്യുമ്പം ആ ഗ്രാഫിന് പുറത്തുള്ള റീജിയനും കൂടെ കൗണ്ട് ചെയ്യണം. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ ഇതിനകത്ത് നമ്മൾ റീജിയൻസ് കൗണ്ട് ചെയ്തപ്പം റീജിയൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഓരോ എഡ്ജ് എൻക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഏരിയയാണല്ലോ നമ്മൾ റീജിയൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ മേളിൽ ആ ABCDയുടെ ഉള്ളിലുള്ള റീജിയൻ 1, പിന്നെ അതുപോലെ ഓരോ കണ്ടീഷൻ നോഡിൻ്റെ അകത്തുണ്ടല്ലോ. സോ 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, പിന്നെ ഇതിൻ്റെ നടുക്കുള്ള ആ റീജിയൻ സോ 6, പിന്നെ ഫ്ലോ ഗ്രാഫിൻ്റെ പുറത്തുള്ള റീജിയൻ 7. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ now these are the execution paths we have. So this execution path is ABDEGKMQS. This is one execution path. Second execution path. Then I have third execution path. Likewise, I got to find the different execution paths here. Okay, അപ്പോൾ ഇതിന് 7 execution paths ആണ് വരിക. These are the execution paths and I got to write test cases to test each of these execution paths. So that is the ideology behind control flow testing. Okay. So structured testing calls for the creation of test cases for each of these paths. The set of test cases will guarantee both statement and branch coverage. Okay. So this is all regarding control flow testing I have. Okay. So thank you for your patient listening and